Hello and welcome back to Beyond the Cup, our new web series for Canada Beer Cup. My name is Hilary Hoogsteen. I'm the competition manager with the Canada Beer Cup. And today I'm here with one of our 2024 head judges, Lauren Richard. Hey, Lauren.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm really enjoying this shift into spring. This is everything I've needed. Yeah, I'm really excited to get started working on, we've gotten started already working on the Canada Beer Cup this year, and it's been really fun to be collaborating with two other head judges. So that's definitely a new experience this year.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique structural model. It's actually something that we borrowed from our friends down under. I don't know if I ever told you guys that, but I consulted with the largest, I believe they're the largest packaging and draft competition in the world, the Melbourne Royal, and they were just really open about sharing some of their best practices with us. And we chose to kind of take a bit of a hybrid to what they're doing and what we did previously. And that was where the three head judge model came from, with the advisory panel to support you guys with judge recruitment. So we can thank our friends down under for that one.
Yeah, I think that's really great because we all have such different strengths and we all come from such different backgrounds. So we really round out each other with bouncing ideas off and just making ideas better. And with the advisory panel, which I find it's really interesting, it's really smart. It makes so much sense because we don't live in each and every province. So we have people in other provinces that know their scene intimately, and they know the people that are out there doing the work and have the knowledge. So it's just, yeah, it's a really great system, I think.
I'm glad it's working so well, and I love watching the three of you collaborate and share ideas. And as you mentioned, I think each of you has a really you're all strong in all areas, but I think each of you has a really clear kind of thing that you do best, and you're all very open to hearing from each other. So it's just really been strengthening the competition already. I'm interested to hear if you can share a little bit about your background, and for folks that might not know you, kind of what has your beer journey been like up until this point?
Yeah, I like to say I have an unconventional beer journey, but I think everyone I've met has the same thing. They kind of fell into beer in kind of an odd way. It just kind of came into their life. But I'm originally from New Brunswick. I am Acadian, and I moved here when I was 17 to perform. So I moved to Toronto to sing and dance and all that, and I did. And Toronto's been great. But after I injured my ankle and I was bartending. I was just seeking something to really sink my teeth into. And luckily, that's kind of when the boom was happening. So I was 21 and I was really excited. And I had a really great boss who kind of taught me everything he knew. And I just took that and ran with it. So it's been over a decade now of me just falling in love with the community and the people, the product, just the chemistry of the actual product and how creative it is and how many decisions are fully in your control. I always found that part to be really interesting. And as a bartender and someone who's worked in restaurants, I see things kind of from both sides of, customer experience and food pairing and just incorporating beer into more like modern table settings. I think we're so used to seeing wine being kind of put on this pedestal, and I love wine. Uh, but I just think beer is just as elevated and just as interesting. And yeah, I just really became enamored with it. It's stuck for a very long time, and I don't think it's going anywhere. Um, and so with that, yeah, I've just been wanting to do staff education kind of internally with restaurants and bars and got into judging. Really love the technical side of beer. Love the BJCP and the Brewers Association, all those guideline type things were always really appealing to me. Um, and from there, you can kind of just take the base and the history and the baseline and then get really creative. I don't think I've ever brewed a beer that was to spec necessarily, that fit nicely in a box in the BJCP guidelines, but I do love them as sort of that springboard.
Very cool. And you've judged all over the continent, I believe. So tell us a little bit about some of those experiences, and then you judged with us in 2022. I know you were taking an exam in 2023, so so you had a year off from Canada Beer Cup, but I'm interested to hear like how things differ from competition to competition, what you think kind of makes Canada Beer Cup stand out.
Yeah, Canada Beer Cup I found was a really great kind of mix of more intimate, small comps that I've done, and then big kind of, anyone is included style comps. And they both have their merits, and they're both kind of, they both have their, their purpose within what kind of caliber of competition you're judging. Um, Sometimes I've judged with such a small group that you're like, we should bring in some new faces. We should bring in some new people because there are just so many intelligent people across the country that really know what they're talking about that we may just not have eyes on. Um, and then I've judged with some competitions where they're just very, very big. And a lot of the times we are bringing in new recruits. We want people to come in and learn. And the only way to do that is to come and to judge. So oftentimes you're paired with someone that is maybe less experienced than you, and you will kind of help them and guide them along, which is a wonderful experience in certain situations. But sometimes you want to be judging with someone that's kind of at your caliber, that has been in the industry for a very long time and really knows their way around it. And that makes both of you, stronger and stronger. And I think with Canada Beer Cup, it's amazing to see the people that we've been able to bring in over the past couple of years, not just personally for networking and just to be a geek and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I get to judge with these people, but it's just such a high caliber group of people in one room, and it's a decent sized group. I feel really comfortable about the size group as well. We have, I guess, including the three of us, around 35 is kind of what we're aiming for. And I think that's a really great number. Because some comps, when you get into 100 or stuff, that's when you're kind of getting into a lot of teaching moments, which we need those comps. But this is such a high caliber comp. We have just professionals.
Absolutely. Yeah. So as you mentioned, the last 2 years, we've been around the 30 to 35 judge mark. Our judging for those that haven't had a chance to see behind the scenes takes place over 3 to 4 days. And we're really mindful of not oversaturating the judges' palates, providing those lunch and snack breaks and, crackers and spittoons and all of the proper things that need to be in place. And so we try to not kind of overdo it with how many beers each judge is doing per session. So that's something that we're very,
Yeah,
very mindful of, because we want to make sure that each beer is getting the dedication, the time and attention from the judges that it truly deserves. We really
yeah.
value every submission. And so that's something that we've paid quite close attention to in past years, and will continue to in years moving forward.
Yeah,
Um,
that's very important. And I have judged at both styles where you show up and they're like, here are your three beers for the day. And then other comps are like, okay, you have 40 to get through. It's like we want to give everybody enough time that we're genuinely going to be judging them individually one at a time. And yeah, we don't want to rush anything.
yeah, so talk to us a little bit about what that process is like as a judge. So you sit down, you get your flight of beer. What next? What do you pick up that first glass? What does that process look like?
So we kind of go through each step one by one, and I try to do it methodically, so I'm doing it the same every time. So you get your sample and you want to look at it, and you're comparing it to, the style guideline of, where we've slotted this beer in, and it should match a certain parameter. And that parameter could be clarity, it could be color, it could be texture, it could be a lot of things. So that's your initial reaction, just like when you eat anything, you're eating with your eyes first. And then, of course, you're going to smell the beer. You're going to assess those things on I always smell the beers right away because some compounds are volatile. They might dissipate. They might come out later. There's lots of different things. So I kind of just methodically look at it, smell it, taste it, assess the body of it after the flavor, the body, the weight, the finish, all those things. And then after you're kind of done with your own personal assessment, that's when you can talk to your table and your judge partner or partners, and then you can help each other find the vocabulary and kind of get to the conclusions that you have already made and assessed yourself privately. So it is a very individualistic thing, but then it's also a very collaborative thing. But we make sure everything is blind, and then we make sure everyone is making their own decisions without anyone kind of influencing that to start.
Very cool. Um, yeah, so something, I guess, just kind of with that, um, makes the Canada Beer Cup sort of stand out is that every element from the time that a brewery ships their beer to our centralized warehouse, every element plays a role. And I think that's something that our logistics team has been very strong in the past about not missing a step. Things are kept in cold storage. Things are categorized meticulously. We have a very comprehensive QR system, as you can imagine, keeping track of thousands of beers is no easy feat. So it requires a lot of technology and a lot of extreme organization and attention to detail. So little shout out for our logistics team there. They're incredible. Things are categorized and there's just sort of bins on bins on bins, and they keep track very, very carefully to make sure nothing gets misplaced. Then things are brought out in flights, and all of these steps, while they might just seem like part of the process, they actually, could have an impact on the score of the beer, because if it were to
Mm-hmm.
sit too long or if it's not served promptly, right down to how many beers are on a tray, the type of glass we use, just happen to have it right here, our 10-ounce Belgian snifter glass. All of those competition elements have really been thought through with a lot of attention to detail to ensure that our judging quality is top tier.
Those things are all extremely important, and yeah, if even one of those things gets massively overlooked, then it really does change and it can change a lot of factors of the quality of the beer. And just to be of the level of competition that we want to be, it's to have the right glassware, it's to have the right storage temperatures, and the right organization. And I would say as a judge, I don't really steward at this point, but as a judge, you're kind of sitting at your table and you're handed things blindly, and there's this whole system going on behind the curtain that you never see, that is just such an incredible production. It takes so much and so many people and volunteers and people trying to learn, people trying to get their foot in to learn how the competitions run. There's so many of those people behind the scenes to make it just seamlessly land in front of me, cold and in the perfect glass.
Yeah, it's pretty cool what goes on behind the scenes. I'm interested, so you kind of chatted a little bit about going through the process of judging. What makes a beer score well?
So there's definitely technical merit. There are the technical guidelines that we follow based on something that, if we say this is an American pale ale, it should exude those characteristics of American hops. And there's like certain things that we have heavily defined in the industry that we consider to be authentically, that falls into that category. And this is the, color scale, it's ingredients used, it is alcohol scale, all those things. And we say, okay, technically, da 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 da. But then there's also that intangible element to something, and we kind of give room for that in a competition like beer judging, where there are certain things that you're just like, it comes together because it's balanced, it comes together because it brings nostalgia. It comes together because of so many things that just excite different parts of your brain that can't really be quantified. So there's lots of different ways. I would say you do all the technical, and then that gets you to that extra fun stuff. Um, yeah.
Kind of the wow factor
Yeah, the
of,
wow factor, exactly. Because sometimes you just can't put your finger on it, but it really just, it gives me, it's so cheesy. It does give me chills when I try something that I think is just so spectacularly stunning in that category, and you and your partner will almost like try to not be talking. You'll be doing your score sheets and you'll be like, mm-hmm. And then as soon as it's time to talk, you're both just smiling at each other. Like it's just this, it's exciting.
So cool. I love it. Um, so talk to us a little bit. I know you and the other two head judges have been finalizing our 2024 beer categories, and there's going to be some things remaining the same and some changes. Can you share a little bit about where things are looking for this year?
Yes, so this did take a little bit of brain power because we don't have as many categories specifically defined as something like the BJCP. So we've combined a few and we've separated a few that they don't necessarily separate because of trends in the industry and just the way we see the market going. Specifically for me, I really wanted to highlight low alcohol, no alcohol beers because the low no movement it's here and it's big, it's not going anywhere, and I personally love it. I've always advocated for the 2.5 to 3.5% beer, not just in English styles and milds and Berliner Weisses, but kind of everything. I love when I can just have kind of a micro version of something. So we are specifically going to be highlighting light lagers this year because we've seen so many like hyper low alcohol lagers that are showing body and character and are just really kind of blowing us away compared to the technology we had maybe 5, 8 years ago. It's night and day. So we've essentially extended our light lager category to go all the way down to the non-alcoholic category so that we're including that gray area. You know, we've seen really fantastic 1.5% beers that are kind of, they don't really fit anywhere. So this year we really want to include those because people are making some really incredible things.
Awesome. Yeah, something I really love about this trend, both the very, very low alcohol beers and non-alcoholic beers really coming to the table is that it feels very inclusive. I think that's something that craft beer, it's always been seen as craft breweries are community hubs. They're gathering places where people come together. And, whether somebody has a health condition or chooses to abstain from alcohol for whatever reason, I love seeing that they're not necessarily compromising on quality
Mm-hmm.
anymore and that things are available. Like even just, I have two children, and the difference from 5 years ago being pregnant to a year and a half ago, the availability of non-alcoholic product, there's been a dramatic difference in the quality of
Yeah.
non-alcoholic beers that I could try. And so it's neat to see.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's amazing to see it. It's less taboo or whatever, when people are anyway. I won't get into that, but as like someone who works in a restaurant and sees people kind of maybe like razz their buddy or give people a hard time, it's just it drink whatever you want to drink. And I love that great beer bars, dive bars, every bar now is kind of embracing it and they have non-alcoholic options. I think that's fantastic. A lot of my best closest friends are sober and we don't really have to make decisions based on where we're going now because there's such great options kind of everywhere. And we really want to celebrate that.
Very cool. So when you go to judge a non-alcoholic beer, or a low alcohol beer, would you say essentially you're looking for those same criteria, or would you judge it differently?
I think you have to inherently, like, you do have to judge it a bit differently because we're not judging it up against a world-class example of something that does have alcohol and the body is different and the ingredients change slightly and there's just a different method of production. So we can't look at it as exactly the same product because it's not. So just like any category, you do have to judge those within themselves and against each other within their own space. So I don't see it as being, I'm not going to judge a non-alcoholic stout against, my favorite American stout because they're just different things, but they scratch an itch differently. So, but I think we can really recognize within these categories that we have with the low alc and non-alc and this light lager category, we can really just acknowledge the where, how far we've come and how refreshing, and the itch that it does scratch, compared to what we've been seeing, and encouraging people to submit and to get recognized in these categories. We just want to say, hey, like, we see what you're doing, and what you're doing is really good, and it's improved so much, and we just want to see more people doing it.
Our feature category this year is sponsored by Hops Connect Canada, and it's our Sasquatch hops beer.
Yes, very cool. It seems so bizarre that we've never had a kind of a landrace hop that is Canadian, something that was discovered in Canada. And it's exciting that even though it's been kind of in production and discovered for a few years, people are still kind of discovering it on their own and playing around with it. So it's really fun and uniquely Canadian.
I'm excited to see what those submissions look like, and hopefully breweries will use it as an opportunity to get creative, try something new, take advantage of the promo that is being offered, and kind of flex their creativity a little bit. Perfect. So another thing I wanted to chat about is the Canada Beer Cup. So breweries, we started, our inaugural year was 2022, and we saw a really just initial positive reception from the industry. And I think the key element to that is that the Canada Beer Cup is a nonprofit. So all the proceeds generated by the competition support the Canadian Craft Brewers Association and our lobbying efforts. So the CCBA recently had a really huge win on the national lobbying front with regards to excise tax. So for breweries under 15,000 hectoliters, there was a reduction of 50% for the next 2 years, which has a pretty significant price tag on it for those breweries. It means that they can hopefully see a little bit of relief post-COVID. And, that's 1 or 2 staff members is kind of what it seems to equate to as far as savings. So breweries have been very supportive of the competition because they know that that entry revenue essentially is being reinvested back into efforts that support them in the long run. So that's something that we're really, really proud of. And we work hard as a competition to sort of steward our finances very responsibly so that we can fund those lobbying efforts on the national front. And I guess with that, I wanted to mention as well that if anyone is watching that might be interested in some sponsorship opportunities with the Canada Beer Cup, please reach out. We do still have some availability for sponsors for 2024. And we also have our judges application open right now on our website. So if you wanted to share a little bit about that, Lauren, what are we looking for as far as caliber of judges? Who should apply?
Yeah, so we are currently accepting applications until I believe it's mid-May, or we end of this. It's mid-May that we're doing, correct? So you have a little bit of time. So we are looking for people from not just Canada. We are looking from people from all over the world. We want to kind of showcase the Canada beer kind of against, palates from all over the world and people that do have this experience judging in other big hubs. So we are looking for people with judging experience, of course. It's amazing if you are a professional brewer, if you have, been a long-standing member of the community, you might be a sales rep, but you might also judge with BJCP on the side, things like that. As long as you have experience under your belt and you're just excited to learn more, we definitely want to see your application because it is a pretty small pool that we're pulling from. Each of the 3 head judges, each will be choosing a smaller selection. And yeah, we're just looking for people that have a really diverse experience within their own world. We want people that haven't all just been living in the same province and experiencing the same trends. We want people to have palates from kind of all over to be able to give an unbiased opinion on Canadian craft beer.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that's made our judging panel so strong in the past is that we've been able to recruit folks from around the world. And so we'll certainly be looking to be doing that again this year. We're wanting to be very inclusive in the folks that we do include, looking for individuals from all different backgrounds. And so we really encourage folks to apply. It'll be taking place this fall, so in September in Niagara Falls. So you do need to physically be able to get yourself to Niagara Falls for beer judging. Packaging judging, not the case. That is taking place online. And we're also looking for stewards. So I chatted about that a little bit with Joe in our first episode, but stewarding is a really great opportunity for maybe a newer judge or someone who is hoping to go down that path of becoming a judge, or somebody who just loves craft beer. Anyone can steward as long as you've got your smart serve. So it's a neat opportunity to get involved.
Yeah, very fun. That's all that magic that happens behind the scenes. So you can learn how everything works and then also be a part of the judging process in terms of observing. You will be a part of actually seeing how it goes down and how people do their judging and kind of get your foot in the door if this is something that interests you.
Fabulous. Was there anything else that you wanted to touch on, Lauren, before we kind of wrap things up?
Um, I think another major thing I would say that we've changed with the categories would be that we've spread out the IPAs and pale ales. We've really kind of spread them out a bit more this year so that we can recognize more sub-styles and therefore recognize more of beer that makes up the bulk of, a lot of craft beer that we see. We see a lot of lagers and we see a lot of hop forward beers. So we've kind of broken up that light lager area to include more, and same with the hop forward beers. We want to really make sure that we don't just have one winner. We want many winners in categories that are each individually their own.
Excellent. Yeah, traditionally we've seen our highest concentration of entries in the IPA categories. So
Yeah.
that seems like a really great modification for this year to have the number of awards be sort of proportionate to the number of entries received.
Yeah,
And as you
absolutely.
mentioned, make sure that if it is a unique substyle, that it's recognized as such.
Mhm.
Super. Well, we will be celebrating our winners October 18th in New Westminster, British Columbia. So our awards are going to be taking place in conjunction with the BC Craft Brewers Guild Conference. And it's going to be on the Friday night. It's going to be a very fun evening of awards. And I think there might be a photo booth and an after party at Steel and Oak. So
That sounds great.
yeah, and everybody's like sort of looking for an excuse to go to BC, I think.
And I'm like,
So
I think I'm gonna have to. I'll just be coming back from Kansas City, but I might as well just take the whole month off, I think.
I think that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
I know I'm excited for it. And it's just like any opportunity for craft breweries to come together is so special. And we have limited opportunities for that in Canada to kind of get everybody from across the country together and celebrating. It's just like such a fun evening because everybody's in great spirits and then recognizing the achievements of breweries from across the country. Of course, the event is also live streamed for folks that can't make it. We'll have our host breweries, as we've done in years past with the live stream, sponsored by Hops Connect Canada. So we've got those viewing parties all across the country, which is fun as well. That's a neat opportunity to come together for people that aren't able to travel. But if you can make it in person, certainly do. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Lauren.
Thank you. We'll chat soon.
Cheers.
Bye.